If you've watched all 30 episodes of Teach Yourself to Sew, you've learned enough to make this jacket from Simplicity Patterns. It takes about 4 hours to make in real time, but with the magic of technology, we can show you how it goes together in just a few minutes. Everybody wants more time to sew, and you can get it. Just divide your projects into small steps, and you will complete them in what seems like no time at all. In just 30 minutes a day, you could finish this jacket in a week. In this episode, we'll cut out the pattern and start making the jacket components. You'll see steps we've discussed in previous episodes and a few new ones as we follow the pattern guide sheet to make the jacket. Before you can get started, pre-shrink your interfacing and fabric. If you plan to dry clean your garment, you should still pre-treat the interfacing because it can shrink from pressing. Drop it into a bowl of hot water and allow the water to cool. Then, blot the pieces and let them dry flat. After pre-shrinking your fabrics, make sure they're square before you cut them. This means the straight grain of your fabric is 90 degrees to the cross grain. First, pull a thread or tear your fabric to establish a straight edge. Next, trim along the pulled thread to assure the cross grain is straight. Then, lay the fabric out on a grid to make sure it's square. Recruit a friend to help you pull the selvage edges diagonally across the fabric to correct the grain. This is more successful if the fabric has been pre-washed. Open your pattern envelope. Circle the patterns on the guide sheet and then refer to it to position the patterns on your fabric. Sort through the pattern tissues to find the pattern numbers you need to use. Cut the pieces from the large sheets by cutting along the size line for the size you need. Now, spread out your fabric, square your layers, and position the pattern pieces following the guide sheet. Pin through the pattern and all layers, and cut along the cutting line for the correct size. Then go around each pattern piece and check the areas you need to mark. Mark any darts or reference lines you'll need to use to set up your pieces and clip all notches. Interface the upper lapel, upper collar, and front and back facings. Make sure to use enough heat, moisture, and pressure to adhere your interfacing thoroughly. Otherwise, the interfacing may bubble. If it does, even after your garment is constructed, you can go back and follow the interfacing steps again, adding a little more of everything, heat, moisture, and pressure, to cure the bubbles. Notice that the upper and under collar and upper and under lapels are not the same size. The upper halves are slightly larger to allow for what is known as the turn of cloth. Do not force the sides to the same length by stretching or cutting. Instead, pin carefully and sew with the longer edge toward the feed dogs, easing the upper collar to fit. Leave the inside edge open and follow the same steps for the lapels. For each of the collar and lapel units, trim the seam allowances and corners and press the seams open before you turn the collar right side out. You can see how the seam turns toward the undercollar because of the turn of cloth allowance. Next time, we'll prepare the sleeves and assemble all of the pieces. See you then.